I've been told that people seem to think that I love to hear myself talk. And it is very true. I do love to hear myself talk. They'll never get me to admit it, but I do.
We'll have to see how loud it is, but we're just gonna go ahead and get right into it. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit more. You'll have to tell me if this is too low or too high.
Hello friends, my name is Shoe0nHead, and
Hello,
welcome
Shoe.
to my new series, The Hell World Report. Some of you may remember my old series.
Hell World Report? What are you?
If you do, you can qualify for a veterans discount. Congratulations!
Hey, don't at me like that,
if you
please.
remember the Gamergate days, well, please come collect your retirement. But
please.
yeah, if you have not seen my
Why are
old
you doing
series,
this to
go
me?
check it out. I will put the link to the playlist down below. I think it's a really interesting time capsule into the years 2020 and 2021, like how crazy it was back then, and then in retrospect comparing
It was really
to how
crazy back then.
it is now. But this is a shorter, more condensed version of that series.
Like it was so crazy back then because I remember because I think I was like around in starting college, and a lot of like the problems, the ills of today were starting. Hello, what are we watching? Today we're watching Shoe0nHead, Sydney Watson, and then we're watching a Legendary Drops video. So the Legendary Drops video, like I said, is because it's talking about how the EU is currently suing Steam. So I figured that one was important. But today we got, like I said, Shoe and Sydney Watson. I like watching both of them. You just made it for the beginning, so sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Think of it as a Temu, Jon Stewart, or Stephen Colbert before they morphed into the same flavor of shitlib. You see, I'm better than those late night Jimmies because I don't get my news from mainstream sources like some kind of
this is gonna be a ground news.
I get them from far more reputable places like Instagram Reels and Femboy Groiper 69 on Twitter. From front rooms and the Epstein files to OnlyFans green cards and kidnapping foreign leaders, from government-funded purple-haired girlfriends to a potential civil war, we have a very packed show for you today. It has been a crazy—
I mean, she says potential civil war, but people were, talking about that like a decade ago. So just a little late on that one.
Year. And it is only January. As I am filming this, we are currently having a huge winter
I don't think we'll have a kinetic war, though.
Snow, ice, and frigid temperatures sweeping across the nation. 20 states under a state of emergency.
Ah yes, perfect weather to make some poor immigrant deliver me chicken tendies. It's so cold that Michigan and Minnesota received reports about exploding trees. Leftists said no more ice, and God said—
So, having actually seen this phenomenon in real life, it is insane. They just blow up. It gets so cold.
News that should have stayed in 2016. Apparently, there is a new term women have coined called man-keeping. Man-keeping is why women are done with dating. Researchers at Stanford have finally given a name to something many women—
As a man, I find this to be very, very offensive.
—have been dealing with for years. It's called man-keeping, and it's helping explain why so many women are stepping away from dating altogether. Man-keeping describes the
Remember, men stepped away from dating, so the exploding trees videos are wild. I know, right? But no, men stepped away from dating, so that means obviously somebody's got to find a way to turn it around to say it wasn't actually men who stepped away first.
Emotional labor women end up doing in heterosexual relationships.
Oh my god.
It goes beyond remembering birthdays or coordinating social plans. It means being your partner's one-man support system, managing his stress, interpreting his moods, holding his hand through feelings he won't share with anyone else. All of it unpaid, unacknowledged, and often unreciprocated. I hate this therapy speak people talk with nowadays. Emotional labor? You mean being there for your—
Yeah, I mean like, like a relationship
partner? This is why so many people are just gonna start dating ChatGPT. People thought men were gonna be the ones dating AI. No. They're gonna be the ones with these sex robots. Women are the ones who want the daily affirmation machines. Yes, honey, I love when you talk about all the drama at work. Tell me more about that bitch Veronica.
I mean, she did a video about that
man-interrupting,
man-keeping,
man-scaping,
2 months ago when she was talking about those weird
Before
books.
we dive into the news,
oh, we're going to manscaping. Oh no, I was wrong. It's not ground news.
With your manscaping.
You'll never hear me admit it, but I was wrong for this one.
For the last
Oh, it's
few
not even
decades,
manscaping. Oh my
razors
god.
haven't been designed to work better. They've been designed to be
Two in a row.
better. More blades, more features, more gimmicks, and skin irritation is just something you're told to deal with. A big cause for that irritation is blade flex. Most razors use springs so
I
that the
would
blades
know.
move
I don't
as you
shave.
That causes extra friction.
I
and
let my
razor
beard
burn,
grow.
So people use aftershave, cold water, moisturizer, whatever. They fix the symptoms
Because I'm
instead
lazy.
of the cause. But the question nobody asks is,
Very
should
lazy.
the blade actually move? How do we fix the actual problem?
I know, get okie
That's
doke.
where
Yeah.
instant shaving comes in. By fully
Yeah, I got my hands up. You got me.
two-sided blade all across
You
its
got
length
me.
at a 30-degree angle. They hold the blade in place to prevent any
Yep,
bouncing,
that's a
skipping,
30-degree angle right
just
there.
giving you an irritation-free shave. No springs, no movement, no reason to compensate.
Looks like such a
with
weird
pressure.
razor.
What separates Henson is the precision behind their design. With their Henson AL-13 safety razor being manufactured in the same aerospace machine shop that built parts for the International Space Station. This level of precision allows the blade to extend just 1/1000th of an inch beyond the shave plane, less than the thickness of a human hair. Since I switched
like
to
a single
Henson,
razor,
almost
too?
2 years ago now,
That seems
I've
a little-
noticed my shaves have been way
I don't know.
silkier and smoother. No tugging, no cuts.
All
Just
of the
a
logic in
close
my
shave
brain is telling
feels
me that
great
doesn't
on my
sound
skin.
like it's going to
And here's
be
the best part.
any
Once
good,
you
but
invest in a Henson razor,
yeah,
it is a
apparently they've
lifetime
been
purchase.
they've been
The only
around
thing
and
you'll
people
need
have
to
been saying
replace
that
is
they
the
are pretty
blades,
good, so
which cost 10 cents each.
I don't know, maybe I'll have
So
to try
once you
one.
own the razor, you'll only be spending like $3 to $5 per year on blades, compared to the ongoing cost of buying those little plastic cartridges. Also, the Henson store offers a bunch of different colors, so you can pick out the razor that best suits your vibe. So if you're tired of razor burn, skin irritation, and paying
I don't
for
have
overpriced
cans
razor
today. I got my
blades,
2 liter
Henson
right
shaving
here.
is definitely worth
I got a
checking
2 liter
out.
today.
Just head over to
I felt like drinking it out of a glass instead of a warm can because I'm a savage.
blades to your cart. Then enter the code SHOE at checkout to get the blades free with your purchase. Big thanks to Henson Shaving for sponsoring this video. And
That thing will
thank
be
you,
gone by the end of the
viewer,
hour.
As always, for not skipping the ad. You didn't, right? Now let's
Nope,
get back
we
to
didn't
the
skip
video.
the ad.
All right, let's start with some good news. The
Oh,
median
boy.
age of home buyers is now 59. But
That's
that's not all.
That's
America's
not
seniors
good
will now
news.
see a new $6,000 bonus exemption as part of the Working Families Tax Cut. That's $90 billion in
Hooray.
tax cuts for seniors all over the country. And by Working Families Tax Cut, they mean you, the working family, giving another
Hooray.
billion-dollar wealth transfer to the most oppressed class. Boomers.
You
Why
thought I
are
was gonna
we
drink
giving
out of the
these
bottle like a
geriatric cuts
savage?
another
I mean, like, yeah, I was planning on drinking right out of the bottle, but I have a glass right here, so I mean, I might as well use the glass, right?
tax break? Maybe they should pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Maybe they should stop buying so much avocado
mean-
toast. God forbid we help young families raise the next generation of Americans.
I will say that it's good that people are getting tax breaks just in general. I'm a big tax break person, but like, yeah, I think the tax breaks need to kind of like fan out to younger generations. They're the ones that are kind of getting screwed by everything.
No, that would be communism. Young people are poor as f nowadays. What are they supposed to do?
Piper Rockell, 18,
Cry.
claims she made $2.9 million in a single day after launching OnlyFans.
Oh my god. OnlyFans was the harbinger of destruction for our generation, I swear.
No more rights. No more women's rights. I am ready for the Islamic Revolution. Mayor Memdani, please press
No.
the Islamification button.
No.
Go-to joke is
Not like
always
that,
about
Shoe.
Women, am I right?
No.
I think the real question here is, should men be allowed to have credit cards? This woman didn't magically create millions of dollars with her mind out of thin air. No. Millions of men.
I mean,
made
I think
this
it's a
woman
good I think it's a good indicator of kind of where we're at, not just on like a political level, but like a societal level where you can make that much money off of it. Like, I'm all for whatever you want to do with your body is whatever you want to do, go for it. But I think one of the issues is that we don't talk about whether or not you should do it rather than whether or not you can do it. And I think that's more of a deep problem with our society, is that we are actually sick and we just don't know it, or at least we don't want to acknowledge it, because acknowledging it would be some type of protracted ism or phobia.
millionaire overnight. Where's the accountability for that? I'm out here policing the whores. We need some men to be out there policing the simps. We have a simp epidemic. Simps are out of control. Not
That's
all of them,
true.
though. Mine are cool.
That's
They
very
can stay.
true.
Also, isn't this like the third?
Like I said, that again, that's again to re-clarify. I'm not saying that it lands solely on one side or the other on the gender spectrum. I think both genders have their issues, and both genders know how to exploit the other gender's issue almost innately. And it's not about whether or not, we can do it. It's about whether or not we should do it. And people nowadays, at least what I've been able to see, don't take the moment to reflect and say, I shouldn't do this.
OnlyFans 18th birthday,
or at least a lot of
announcement,
people.
and the woman turned
The
into a
loudest ones.
millionaire overnight. Someone a little sus about that. But don't worry, thanks to AI, we are entering a new age of goonerism.
Oh yeah. Oh god, this was... So if you didn't see this, apparently, like, obviously you can kind of see what's happening where this guy's moving around and he's able to act like, or he's able to be a woman with AI filter over him. I fear for the future. This is terrifying. You'll never be able to trust anything again, I swear. That's really
Honestly, what's
good.
the big deal? Men are already talking to the guys in India who run the accounts of OnlyFans models.
That's
is
true,
this
though.
really any different? The internet
Yes,
is
a little
slowly
bit.
but surely just becoming Indian men scamming other Indian men. But don't worry, not every internet waifu is a man using AI.
Dude, those-
In fact, if you live in the UK,
Those videos of like scammers getting like payback on YouTube are just amazing. Like, have you seen those like Kit Boda and stuff like that? Or scammer payback? Those are hilarious. I love watching
you
those.
may get a state-funded, far-right, purple-haired waifu. Introducing Pathways, a point-and-click video.
I love how poorly this has backfired. Okay, so I know, Munstery, I know you come from the UK. What have you heard? I'm actually curious. What have you heard about this game? All the YouTubers are in disguise. People going to have a field day when face cams can be AI. I know exactly. I mean, like, at least I have the common decency not to lie to you. I am a man, and I am not in disguise. But it was already a thing on Douyin with filters. Yep, it was. But no, so I know that I'm a little bit ahead of you guys in the sense that YouTube is being a little behind today. But, I'm waiting on the question still stands. Not to put you on the spot, Munstery, but, I was wondering, like, what you've generally heard about Pathways. I wonder if there's a way to, like... I've seen absolutely nothing of it. All I know so far is right-wing groups love the antagonist. And that game was shit. Alright, yeah, no, so... I wouldn't call her the antagonist in the truest sense. Because she was just a character, right? And people were liking her because essentially they were trying to make a point, but their point was just kind of an anodyne way of people thinking like, we should be putting this or that in front of other types of political agendas. And so, like, by them trying to vilify her, they just, magnified the message. It was hilarious.
Game created by the UK government to help prevent online radicalization.
Pathways is an educational visual novel and learning experience created by the UK media
And yes, the game
company
was shit.
Shout Out UK.
It was
Funding
so
from
bad.
UK government's Prevent program, run
It
by the
stepped
Home
right out
Office.
out of
The game is meant to teach
1984.
the youth about dangers of radicalization and extremism in both real life and online. This is done by putting the players in a role of a character named Charlie, who must navigate 6 different scenarios relating to
They took it
extremism.
down,
In
by the
second
way.
scenario,
They
the
took
player
that
is
shit
introduced
down
to the
like
character
within a
Amelia,
week.
a
It
staunch
lasted
anti-immigration protester depicted as a
less
goth girl
long
with purple
than
hair, a
Concord.
pink dress, and a choker.
And the internet instantly fell in love with her.
Yeah, the internet loves her.
It's like they made her have short purple hair thinking that would prevent this from happening.
It was
but
so
the UK
funny.
failed to consider the fact that conservatives love art hoes. They act like they don't, they'll deny it, they'll pretend they just want a blonde traditional
Everybody loves them.
housewife, but deep down every conservative wants a woman who looks like this, who says the N-word. Government
I don't know about that one.
video games. Incredible. At least our government doesn't do weird shit like
Oh yeah, by the way, it was a government-funded video game as well, so take that for what you will.
that. No, our government is very normal.
Is
Believe it or
What?
not, Mar-a-Lago furry party was on my 2026 page.
Wait. What? There was a furry party at Mar-a-Lago? What? 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 We don't live in the real world, I swear to God.
Go cards. I miss when this weird shit was just done underground. I miss when these parties were secret. Speaking of, the Epstein files were released.
Well, any government, so the UK government sucks with this kind of thing. Any government sucks with this kind of thing. If you're a government funding something that has to do with like sending a social message, you're gonna suck with it because it's either gonna be hammy or not correct, or people are gonna disagree with it because there's too many fingers in the pot to actually make something of merit. The whole report, your friend for thought crimes, was wild. Yeah, it literally is 1984. We live in a society. We definitely live in a society. We live in a sick society.
Wow. Incredible. The things they are showing us are eerie enough. I couldn't
wait.
imagine the things that they're...
You guys missed it. See right here where her mouse is? You see that? Yeah, that's pretty... Man, can't believe they left that into the Epstein files.
The things they are showing us are eerie enough. I couldn't imagine the things that they're redacting. It is absolutely disgusting that these powerful people are still being protected. We as a country should be extremely concerned about an international child trafficking ring. This is not just something we all move from, and we kidnapped the president of Venezuela.
Breaking just now, Maduro at the...
Don't look over here. Look over here.
president says has been captured.
To be fair, though, like, I think this was pretty good that it happened, like, just in general, because of, like, the exigent threat that drug cartels and drug rings, especially state-funded drug cartels and drug rings, have on our country. But, like, again, it definitely was more of a, hey, don't look over here, even though it was still good.
Has been captured and flown out of
I'd like to live in a world where both the unredacted files and this happened, but
intelligence,
you know, at least I'll give some type of props where props is due.
First pictures of Nicolas Maduro on the
By the way, this was insane how they did it. They literally sent in the Helldivers. It was insane.
Transferred on.
Trump voters voted to fix the economy and to afford homes again. They didn't vote to kidnap communists in the middle of the night. Actually, they probably did vote for that. Never mind.
The oil companies are going to...
I'm pretty sure a Trump voter did, in fact, vote for that.
Take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago.
Holy shit. This is the most transparent administration in history. They weren't lying. I don't know if it's the Stockholm Syndrome or what, but it's almost refreshing to hear a leader say, yeah, this is about oil. Like, thank you, sir, thank you.
That is a little reductive, though, because, you know, the companies that were taken over by the Venezuelan government were actually set up, funded, and maintained for a while by U.S. companies. Their government just took them over. So really, there's a lot more going on in the background there in order to just to reduce the argument to it's all about oil. Technically, it's also about U.S. assets and U.S. Treasury that was put into developing the areas that was then seized by another country, arguably illegally, but again, that's going to get mixed up in the haha, it's just about oil, so I kind of get that.
Thank you for just saying it's about oil. Thank you for not pretending it's about saving democracy and just doing imperialism the old...
It was also about stopping drug cartels from being staged in Venezuela and going across the Gulf of America and sending them into, you know, our country and just letting them go through. So a little bit more than that, but
way. We have such terrible Middle Eastern
lot more than that
it was shocking to not hear about how Venezuela is just jealous of our freedoms or some shit. Like, no, it's just for ExxonMobil. Like, okay, carry on.
The U.S. used a powerful mystery weapon that brought Venezuelan soldiers to their
this
knees,
shit's insane,
bleeding through their nose and vomiting blood.
Like, if this actually happened, because I don't know how credible or uncredible this is, but if they actually used some type of like sound wave based weapon that like caused people to bleed from their orifices, get like fucking disoriented and like couldn't do anything, holy shit. Except most drugs come from Mexico, so most drugs cross the border from Mexico, but most drugs are made in other South American countries and Central American countries. It's not that it comes from Mexico, it's that their production, their importation of base materials, and all other things that are like done in order to make them and distribute them start in other South American countries, especially drug havens like Venezuela. And I think Nicaragua is big for it too. So yeah, they do come across the border in Mexico, but they also are produced, distributed, and encouraged in a bunch of other South American countries. It's not just Mexico that's the problem. It's like all of South America that has a lot to do with it because it's all impoverished. And the cartels can really get a foothold in a lot of places. I mean, like, Mexico is its own problem. Like, there's a lot of things that we need to do, and I think that we're encouraging the Mexican government to stop. But, you know, having myself been to Mexico before, it's been really, oof. China has a large production and export business with it, but I do see Trump going for them. Yeah, they definitely do. So China does the base materials for it, and they export the base materials to countries that then refine it into the actual drugs. So they're like fentanyl, I think, is also produced also in China, as well as the base materials are exported from China. Trump's been really going after that particular part of it in that industry, which is good. But like other huge, you know, drugs, like we'll just say for, yeah, I don't know if I can really say it without getting, well, I'm not even monetized, but I don't know if I can say it without getting like mollywopped by the algorithm, but harder drugs, like your traditional drugs, get produced very heavily in other South American countries and then trafficked into the United States by whatever means.
The daring raid to capture dictator Nicolas Maduro.
Yeah, if you're wondering why we don't have healthcare, this is why. We have invisible laser beams that can make people bleed out their f***ing eyes.
Hell yeah, brother.
Apparently, directed energy weapons are real. The Goy beam is real. Deep sea files are real. Havana syndrome is real. Hell,
not denying that South America has a lot of issues, but there are many other places that deal in it. Absolutely. Absolutely. But South America is one of the few places that we can actually take direct intervention against, right? Because they're like, so I'm going to go ahead and use actually my degree for a second. I'm glad that I was able to have that with you, and I'm glad that you were able to, you know, sit here and calmly talk about it with me. I'm happy that we're able to have that dialogue. All right, back to Shoe.
Theorist is just
oh my gosh.
Word for being correct too early. What's next? COVID was fake?
There have been significant developments in the last 5 to 7 years on social, environment, and technology fronts that could help realize My Carbon initiatives for shaping the future towards smart and sustainable cities. COVID-19 was the test of social responsibility.
Nothing the news tells us is true. 100%.
Restrictions for public health were adopted by billions of citizens across the world.
Didn't Theodore Roosevelt and Jimmy Carter also get awards, awarded Nobel Peace Prizes? They did, except I'm saying like in our lifetime, right? Because I don't think you were alive for Roosevelt or Carter. At least I'm going to go ahead and make the assumption that you're not like 70. Yeah, no, I'm happy to have these, like, you know, debates. I'm happy to have these, and I wouldn't even consider this a debate. I would consider this a civil conversation, right? If I were debating you, I would be probably a little bit more forceful on my points. But, you know, I don't want to make a debate me bro type of culture. I want to be able to have a conversation and sit down and both walk away at the end of the day going, wow, that was an interesting conversation. I might be mad. I might be happy. I might be angry. Let's go play some Helldivers and accidentally kill each other. That's the type of environment I want to foster here. Carter was 2002. No, I'm in Carter's administration. He didn't get it because of his presidency. He got it because of his philanthropy, after his presidency.
There were numerous examples globally of maintaining social distancing, wearing masks, mass vaccinations, and acceptance of contact tracing applications for public health, which demonstrated the core of individual social responsibility.
I think you were quite forceful, but I'm not annoyed at that. Sorry, I talk in a very forceful manner. I'm very blunt when I'm trying to present something and when I'm trying to think through something, because I feel that it's disingenuous to you not to be able to show you, at least in some type of way, my exact thoughts on the matter so that you minusculely and minutely understand my point. Because if I leave anything ambiguous or up to interpretation, then I'm doing you a disservice because then you have to interpret my words. At least that's a philosophy that I try to go through when I'm talking with people, because I don't want to disrespect them by not telling them something. I want to show them more respect and show them that this is exactly where I'm coming from on this so that you have the tools and ability to respond if you want to. And that does come off as a little forceful, but that's just kind of how I talk. So yes, sorry about that. But I don't know. I find that to be the more respectful option. So sorry if it was a little bit forceful. I didn't mean to be as forceful as, but I mean, then again, I'm an American. We're a little bit more forceful than, other countries. So at least that's what I've heard. Oh, okay, fair. I was just clarifying because I thought I had a Mandela moment on the prizes. No, you didn't have a Mandela moment.
Oh, sorry. I just owe many people many apologies. Anyway,
Oof.
Venezuela has no president. Who is going to run Venezuela?
So we are going to run the country.
A few moments later.
Hola amigos, yo soy su nuevo presidente, el señor Donaldo J. Trumpo.
Okay, that got me.
Can we fix our broken infrastructure, our education system? Can we do a little nation building in this nation?
I just like people, seeing people able to talk, man. Me too.
And with modern American nation building comes...
I know that we're like kind of using Shoe as a springboard to keep talking, but we're going to keep doing it because I am enjoying this a lot. Because I like seeing people being able to talk, man. It's like, I like seeing people able to talk too. And I think that there is a lot of good from hearing an opinion from the other side, in the sense that as long as it's articulated in a way that's like, we're both on the same team. We both want the same things for one another, but I think this is the way that we should go about doing it. That's the type of conversation that I want. I don't want to hear from somebody like, oh, you're a communist, Lamau. I mean, like, then again, that could be a funny joke, but, oh, you're a communist, Lamau. Like, I think that, like, this, that, and the other thing, you should have this happen to you. It's like, no, or you're a conservative, Lamau, you should have this happen to you, or you're a this, you're a that. I think that's not productive. I think that we should just assume that we're on the same side, that we just believe that in order to get to our more perfect country or our more perfect societal endeavor, we both need to work together and bring our own ideas. Because I think that there are some affirmative goods in other ways of thinking. Like, I'll just, say for an example, socialist systems that are social safety nets for the working class of America, I think, have been in general a net good when utilized properly, when not mismanaged, and when granted to people who actually, have a stake in the system. But I also, on the same token, think that, we need to be cutting back on them. And I think that would be for the betterment of everybody, because if we give less to people, then we are going to be encouraging more societal cooperation, and we're going to be discouraging government corruption. Because once you start having large amounts of funds going through social systems, there's a lot of them that go missing. So, I mean, I don't want to get into that right now. I'm just saying that as a complete hypothetical example. But I think that hearing the other side saying we need more is just as valuable as my opinion. Because then they're trying to say we need more because of this reason, and that allows us to be able to get to an adequate number, or at least an adequate agreement that helps the most people.
Refugees. So who is going to take in these Venezuelan refugees? Are we?
No.
Only the hot ones, apparently.
United States increasingly issuing work visas to OnlyFans models based on level of audience reach, according to the Financial Times.
Okay, now is the time for me to stand up for my beliefs even more. Yes, stand up for the beliefs that you have. I encourage that 100%. If you can't stand up for your beliefs with full-chested conviction, then why have the beliefs? I won't, though, since you said you don't want to. Okay, well, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. If we're talking about if we're talking about social safety nets, yeah, I don't want to have that debate right now, or that conversation right now, because we're already behind on our reaction. I'm gonna have to cut a whole lot of this out for the YouTube upload of it, just because Well, I think we talked for a solid 30 minutes there, which is good. I love it.
Big booty Latinas to the front, tortas to the back. Anyway, nana boo boo, my president can kidnap your president. We're invincible. We can regime change anyone we want. Who's next? Canada, Greenland, Cuba?
Iran.
Literacy rates are higher than ours. Maybe they should come liberate our dumbasses. Kids are
very behind, yeah. So far behind that I think we're gonna skip the Sidney Watson one, and I'll do that one by myself.
Dick Cheney is looking up at us smiling.
You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship. Their days are numbered.
Trump, listen to
Lindsey
me.
Graham
Wait,
coming in with the
Trump
Lindsey
doesn't watch this.
Grahamism. I'm yap maxing. Hey, listen, we both yap max together. It's a yap maxing endeavor for both of us.
This little Venezuela stunt was cute, but we are not touching any other countries. We are not touching the Middle East, especially. No more Middle East.
God, I really don't want to
all
go back to the
have
Middle East.
East fatigue. We are done. This whole thing
Oh, yeah.
really put into perspective just how weird it was that we were there like for 20 years.
One quick question
You mean we
about
could've just been in and out in a few hours? I guess those
interventionalism
floppy
later.
kids couldn't
SpongeBob at it.
maintain
Yeah, exactly.
themselves, though. Anyway.
Absolutely. There you go, Nova. Yep, bonding.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me. But did you forget to check in with Lilith, the barista from Bushwick, and see how she feels about this?
Trump said the United States will be running Venezuela. Woo!
Oh my god. Oh my god.
All for what? So a fucking multinational
What does she have? It's right there.
corporation can get profit.
You know what's funny is I basically
She
said
is-
the exact same thing this person said, but I said it less loudly. She
She
has
is
a nose ring and I don't, so I'm right
very
and
on
she's wrong.
fire for this.
I guess this is just what happens when you dismantle the soft power of things like USAID. We're no longer doing secret regime change operations behind the scenes. Now we're just straight.
That is one thing that I will say about this, though. I'm glad that instead of doing it behind the scenes via the CIA, we're just doing it straight up by kinetic things and just saying, yeah, we're doing it. At least we're being honest. Let's be fair here. At least now we're being honest about it.
up kidnapping other world leaders in the dead of night and just saying it's about oil, which honestly kind of makes me believe it's not about oil. They're never that blatant, right? I mean, what could it be? Like, Israel isn't behind this one, right?
The implications here are really
Oh,
great for
no, are we-
the Venezuelan people.
Oh, God damn it. You know, people say I have Israel derangement syndrome, but I'm sorry, I can't help it when they get on TV and say shit like this.
No, it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit.
No,
the
no,
First
Volpe, we
Amendment
can't just go
in
judging people
order
based on their
to
image.
protect
We
it.
can judge them based on them
And
sounding
quickly
insane.
before it's too
Okay,
late.
we totally can do that. But usually 90% of the people with nose rings, including men, sound a little insane. We can all be fair about that one, right?
You mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms. We need to.
No, it's just a nose ring theory. Oh, was it nose ring theory joke? I don't know if you've heard about that, but there was like a nose ring theory thing going around where they were talking about how it was something to do with all people with nose rings are crazy, which obviously is patently false on its case, but it made its own case for its existence by all the people who have nose rings going absolutely schizoid about
the
it.
authenticity of every person that expresses themselves.
It's
online
correlation, not
and
causation.
take,
Shake my head.
control
SMH
over,
my head.
what they are saying based on that ranking.
Right, but does being crazy, let's play it in the opposite direction. Does being crazy then become a causation to get a nose ring? Then it would be causation. Think about it. It's the opposite causation, not just correlation.
The government should
social media.
should do that.
Try explaining that to someone without showing them the video. Go ahead. Yeah, there's a Jewish billionaire named Shlomo who wants to control the internet. Like, okay, man, you're in too deep.
That's
no
funny.
more Instagram reels for you. Anyway, you should have just let us play video games. Now we're perp walking the president of Venezuela down the.
So I had heard a good take about this somewhere where you all remember it started with Marcus Mayhem and his pug. And it continued to just let us play our video games in peace, and they couldn't do it. They just couldn't let us play video games in peace, and now here we are. Food for thought.
Streets of New York City. But hey, leftists, just think of it this way. By bombing and kidnapping instead of just doing the usual covert psyops, we saved maybe, what, $1 billion? $1 billion
Oh, yeah.
would go to other, more important things, like defense contractors stock buy.
Like a new tank. Or a new plane.
Somalian daycares, apparently.
This is MAGA YouTuber Nick Shirley.
First of all, the Purple Pros, MAGA YouTuber, he's not politically affiliated to begin with. But this was huge. This was a big thing.
Back at a daycare in Minnesota, he alleged was a fraudulent facility in a now viral video.
And
Shirley,
if you think that it's not true that there is not fraud going through these places, then you are wrong on its face, because everything that the government touches has fraud. Blatantly.
tries to open locked doors and talk to people at various daycares he claims are frauds.
The point is that
I heard that
doors,
F-47 is
you can't
coming
give you
along.
any
Hell
information,
yeah,
call
brother.
them, no one answers.
It's not like Nick Shirley was the first person to expose this either, but now it exploded. And the fallout has been bizarre.
I heard he's going to LA. I'm waiting to see what happens with Gavin Newsom.
Claimed to have been broken into the night this all went viral.
Unfortunately, we saw that.
Yeah, the I don't know if you watched it, but this place was called the Learning Center, but its sign said Leering Center. Huh.
Documentation.
And it was like that for a while.
And also employee documentation that was gone. There were also checkbooks that were ripped from our check papers that were ripped from our book.
Mm-hmm.
This is devastating news.
Oh no, somebody broke into the daycare and stole all the paperwork we needed
None
to
of the
prove
money.
we are a legit operation. Please ignore my suspicious exact paperwork we need to prove
Nothing
we are a legit
else of value,
operation-shaped
just the
belly.
paperwork.
Listen, no hate to the
Oh.
Somalians, but when my family
Strange how
came
that
here 100
happens.
years ago, we did organized crime the right way. We would have had tin walls and cement shoes at the bottom of Lake Superior. This is just sad. This is cartoonishly pathetic. Listen, nobody is going to want to support government programs if they think it's all going to like this. If you want people to support a welfare
That's just human greed. The one reason why I can't claim that socialism is undoubtedly the best system, and why are people like this. So I think that's actually probably more of a base human feeling than most people want to admit. I think everybody is greedy in some capacity, and when you're faced with a choice of nobody will actually know that you're skimming off the top if you do that, I think everybody would take that, or at least think about taking that 60% of the time. So 60% of the time people will take it. Everybody would 100% think about it all of the time, saying, I could do this. It's just a measure of whether or not you are or are not a good person if you do it. The one guy, the guy talking about the documentation was from a different childcare center, not the Quality Leering Center. Yeah, I was just, she mentioned the Leering Center earlier, so I was just trying to, explain about that, expound on it.
You have to make sure that welfare is actually going to real things that help real people. Listen,
Yes.
It's already hard enough to convince a right.
By the way, I totally agree with Shoe on this one, right? Like, yeah, we'll just...
Listen, no hate to the Somalians, but when my family
Right.
came here 100 years ago, we did
Not this
organized
part,
crime
but you'll
the
see.
right way. We would have had tin walls and cement shoes at the bottom of Lake Superior. This is just sad. This is cartoonishly pathetic. Listen, nobody is going to want to support government programs if they think it's all going to like this. If
Right.
you want people to support a
I
welfare state, you have to
100%
make sure that
agree.
welfare is actually going to real things that help real people. Listen, it's already
I
hard
100% agree with Shoe on this take. Like, that is probably the biggest issue that we have right now, is that it's an open secret in the United States that all of our social welfare and social safety net programs are nearly ubiquitously going to not the right people in a majority, or maybe even, I would say, plurality of cases, which is already too high on either end of those. What we want to see, I think what the average American wants to see, and what everybody across the board ubiquitously wants to see, is that the people who are in need are getting it, not the people who are not in need, not the people who are taking from the pot and taking it in a fraudulent manner. And that's where the antipathy, in my opinion, is coming from people who don't like these social safety net programs, is they're seeing the fraud, and then they're judging the program on the fraud rather than judging the program on the positive good, which I think is fair, because in the sense that's what they see. I'm not saying that they should be doing that, but I think it's a fair observation for them to be making. I can't fault them for that observation. It probably isn't the most well thought out of conclusions, but I can see where they're coming from. And this is why anti-corruption teams are important. Yeah, but there's only so much that an anti-corruption team can do when it's a government-run body. You almost need like a private third-party anti-corruption team in a way, and it's really hard to do that. And that's why I think journalism and independent journalism is the right way to go for that, because they don't have a stake in it either way. At least that's the best way that we have at current moment. It's hard to make a lot of people support something they think is just benefiting those that take advantage of the generosity and not properly policing the fraud is what foments the sentiment. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's hard for people to get on something or support something if they think that they're just paying for somebody else's rest and relaxation in a way. This is why the UK is split down the middle. Half of the Poles want more socialism and the other half want none. But both want that because the current system is broken and completely useless. Exactly. I think that if you took, at least I'm going to base this off of my observations, if you took the average British person, UK citizen, and said, hey, we're going to make a system that you pay into for the entirety of your life, and then you get back a portion of what you've paid into, and you're going to always be getting it, and it's not going to go to anybody else except for people who paid into the system, I think all of them would say, that's a great idea. I'd love to do it. The problem is when people who don't pay into the system or are benefiting from the systems that didn't do any work to help prop up the system, that people have a problem with. And I think that everybody can agree that that problem is not going to be fixed by, a simple solution. It's going to be a drastic solution that nobody's happy with. And yeah, nobody wants to make the move. But yeah, that is exactly why it's split halfway down the middle. And I think, again, both sides have decent argumentation if they're making the argument from a good faith position. I would say that if you're making the argument that we need, more socialism or we need more socialist programs to give people more money because they're not getting it, well, now we got to talk about the causes as to why they're not getting it. That's not coming from a good faith interpretation. That's coming from we just need to give people more money because, money technically doesn't exist, which is kind of wrong. But I could see where that's coming from. And then the other side is like, we should give people no money because it'll always be mismanaged. It's like, okay, we can't do that either. Like, that's just not how society works. So you can't get either of the extreme drastic ones and either of the extreme, drastic bad faith arguments, which is kind of, like I said, it's hard to measure, and you get lost in the loudest voices from either side. So I don't know. It's hard.
Enough to convince a right-wing audience that there's more to leftism than Reddit and butt sex. Now I have to convince them the wealth redistribution I advocate for isn't all going to Somalian welfare pirates. Thanks. That money should be spent on more important things like New Gaza. That's right.
Or, our crumbling infrastructure.
The World Economic Forum and Jared Kushner are proud to present New Gaza. Yes,
yay! I'm so glad that we're giving so much money to a foreign country.
Branch on top of the bodies of thousands of dead children. Hell is not hot enough, ladies and gentlemen. Hell is not hot enough. Anyway, because of all this fraud stuff, Tim Walz is stepping down, which is sad to see because he has to be one of my favorite characters in modern America lore. The first white male DEI hire, the last white dude for Kamala Harris, a dying breed. But hey, maybe this marks an official end to the Kamala Harris era, and we can move on and focus on rebuilding.
I'm not gonna lie, if they run Kamala Harris again, that will be such an unforced error. She's deeply, deeply unpopular.
Building the Democratic Party to something more.
Harris stepping toward another White House run.
No. We are not doing this. No. I swear to God, the Democratic Party is like an old friend addicted to heroin or something. You want to help them, you do everything you can to help them, but they don't listen. They keep doing stupid things and hurting themselves. But you just can't give up on them. You can't. You want to see them get better.
They came into the doctor's office saying, "Hey, doctor, my dick hurts." So like, "Oh, what's happening?" "Well, I keep punching it every night." "Well, maybe you should stop that." And they say, "No, I like doing that." Okay. The worst part is I think most people are in the middle with we want to help each other. That's what I was saying. It's like most people want to agree that they're on the same team. Like they do. They want to be like, yeah, you know, my neighbor might disagree with the way in which we achieve that end result, but I believe my neighbor has my best interests at heart as I have my neighbor's best interests at heart. I think the internet's done an affirmative damage to that where most people don't want to believe that. In your opinion, America needs a third party? So I both agree and disagree with that. I think that it would be nice if we had more than just the two-party system in America, but since it is a constitutional republic, it's always going to devolve into a two-party system because of the way that we allocate finance and funds for political campaigns, right? And I mean, you can also go with like a little bit of a sociological take where most people, when they're presented with more than two choices, they kind of like go into decision paralysis, but that's neither here nor there. It's got everything to do with the fact of the way that our system is set up. And, you know, it's not perfect, but, you know, it's worked for 250 years so far. So with minor modulations, I honestly think that America needs to cut back on who's allowed to vote. Like, this is going to be a very controversial opinion, but I don't think that we should be voting so the original interpretation of voting for senators was not done by the public. Senators were originally voted for by the representatives in the House of Representatives. I think we should go back to that. I don't think senators should be directly represented by the people because senators are supposed to represent the state, not its people, where the House of Representatives is supposed to represent its people, not the state. And we lost that when we were allowing states to represent their own senators. The other thing is I think that we do need to go back to a time where not everybody can vote. And I'm not saying that like we should be discriminating based on any type of immutable characteristic. I think that there needs to be a litmus test for voting on how much you like actually contribute and try to work within the system. Because I don't think that everybody has the same stake in the system. And I don't know where that line should be drawn. Like, this is just like a real quick spitball by me, but we've tried universal suffrage in like the abstract and basically only 50% of the population votes anyway. So it's just like, well, you know, it's just at the point where if I were to vote in the American elections, I genuinely couldn't choose since I dislike both. Yeah, no, there's a lot of people who agree with that sentiment. And the problem with that is you kind of have to choose who's closest to your values. Like, yeah, it'd be great. Like, I know a lot of people wanted to vote for RFK, right? It'd be great to have been able to vote for RFK for president. However, there is no shot he's winning. Just period, no shot. So you have to align yourself with the closest political party that you can gravitate towards. Do I think that's, great? No. Do I think it's better than most systems? Yeah, because at least you're not being told that you have to just deal with this now. And of course, parliamentary systems have their own problems where you can start getting like a tyrannical majority in it where they just run the government. So no system is perfect, but at least, in some parliaments, there are some affordances for lower parties. So I mean, maybe we can take that, graft it onto our system, but I don't know how well that would work. I am not versed enough in constitutional law to be able to figure out whether or not that is a good fix.
You know deep down, they could be how they used to be, but it's hopeless. And all your other friends keep saying to you, just forget them. Just forget them, it's not worth it. Come hang out with us instead. But those friends are on crack. Those friends are on crack cocaine. But this Minneapolis fraud thing is looking pretty bad for Tim Walz and the Democrats.
Oh, he's cooked.
Forget about this.
He's cooked the shit.
An ICE officer just shot a woman in the face in Minneapolis.
You can hear the agents tell
Oh, this is going to be controversial. Uh-oh.
Approach the SUV. The woman then drives forward. That's when the shots are fired.
By the way, she totally hit him with the car. With his police cam, you could see it hit him.
Picking her kids up from school when an ICE officer jumped in front of her car and randomly shot her in the face. Or an angry protester was blocking the road and tried to run over an ICE officer with her car, so he shot in self-defense.
Oh yeah, this all totally depends on from where your news sources are coming from.
Depends on how you look.
There would have to be a massive reshuffle, so it's not a good idea. People are adverse to change anyway. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's not even that people are adverse to change. I think it's like you would have to rewrite parts of the way that the Constitution works, and you would have to like have a shit ton of amendments to the Constitution. He was kind of standing in the way. That was so he was standing in the way, but that's also kind of like, I don't know if that's police procedure or ICE procedure or what have you, but it's to dissuade them from going away because they're trying to detain her and trying to arrest her, right? So
Depends on how you voted, apparently. The way
it does. It depends totally on how you voted, how you see this.
This woman was not trying to hit him. She was not trying to run him over. I think she was trying to drive away. And in an alternate universe, he dodges the car and she drives away. And it's easy to be like, oh, in hindsight, he should have done this. He should have done that. That's like so much of the discourse right now I'm seeing is just in
hindsight's 2020, so
and it's easy for us to say in hindsight, you know, after the fact. It's easy to say he could have, he should have, but all he saw was a car revving up and going towards him. This has been
well, she would also hit him. And you can hear and see that on his police cam that the car did hit him.
one of the most insane political Rorschach tests
Like,
I've ever seen in my life.
That's just a pure fact. It hit him.
It really all comes down to how you view ICE and police officers in general. Many, not all, leftists view ICE as completely illegitimate. Same with the police, they want to abolish both. So you're not going to get a real unbiased conversation with those people. Because why the f should a protester respect ICE in the first place? And many, not all, conservatives tend to be complete and utter f***ing bootlickers. Completely unable to criticize anything the police do. ICE can do no wrong.
I can kind of agree with that.
Tread harder.
There are a lot of conservatives out there who err on the side of police like a little too much. I definitely think that's a legitimately good criticism of conservatives and Republicans.
Daddy real fast. This is extremely aggravating discourse, and you
I completely understand why he did it, but ICE has issues. And this is just an extension of people hating on them. Sure, ICE definitely does have issues. I think that there are a lot of things that they could have done better. But, like, in the same vein, they are a federal law enforcement body. They are just strictly on paper, on charter. They are a federal law enforcement body. Okay. Well, let's say that that is the case. Stop calling them illegitimate, because they're not. They are a legitimate law enforcement body. Just full stop. That's what it is. I mean, I'm not talking to you, of course. I'm talking at, like, people in the ether who would be doing that. And sure, ICE has issues, and it is an extension of people hating on them. But my question is are they hating on them because they disagree with what they're doing, like in the abstract, or are they hating on them because they lost the election? I think it's probably the latter, and they are expressing their distaste for what happened in the election through the protest of ICE. I basically am trying to make the claim, or I am making the claim, that what they are doing is misplaced aggression, or maybe particularly placed aggression to be upset about something that actually they're not protesting. There's a word for that, but I'm spacing on the word. I don't think that this is about ICE. I think this is about something bigger, that they lost the election. Because if you sit down and actually crunch the numbers, more than 50% of the country voted for this.
Anyone who takes a really firm, hard stance either way and, like, can't fathom how the other side is seeing what they are.
And there's sorry, I hate to interrupt, but there's also a lot of issues with the way that it's being presented too, because Minnesota has been a belligerent in the way that they have not been handing over criminals to ICE after they're being arrested by local law enforcement, which is a problem. If you have a hold on your immigration status and you are arrested by local law enforcement, you should be handed over to Customs and Immigration. They are not doing that in Minnesota, which is why ICE is there, which is a violation of just federal policy in general. So what do you do with a state that's not following federal policy, and they're like the only state that's not following federal policy? Technically, you should be invoking the Insurrection Act and sending in the Helldivers, but Trump has been soft-handing this for some unknown reason. Maybe for the better, maybe for the worst. I'm not qualified to make a claim on that.
All about police brutality. It was all about police brutality towards innocent protesters. I was a little more ACAB-y back then. I I was a little more libbed the out back then, but hey, to be fair to me back then, that is what happens when you live in the sheltered suburbs of Long Island in your parents' basement versus having a kid and living in the city for 4 years. The police are a taxpayer-funded HR department for structural violence. They exist solely to protect the rights of private property. Yeah, we need more police. Police are good. Police are great. Give the police more guns. More guns. Give them more guns. Tanks.
Give her another decade, she's going to be sounding like me. Their methods are just downright disgusting. There have been so many incidents pertaining to overuse of force that I can't see how anyone can see what some of them have done and support it. Well, my question to you is where does the line of officer safety come into play? Because some of these people that they are arresting, actually a lot of these people that they are arresting have violent felonies that involve guns. They are armed. They are in places where they don't know what they're getting into or going into, right? So they're already scared for their own safety when they're going into a completely unknown environment. The whole, I'm a citizen, so I don't need ID, but I need ID so that ICE don't arrest me randomly is crazy. That's not true. When you're a citizen, you do need an ID. You need an ID for a lot of things, like buying alcohol, driving a car, existing. The first thing a police officer asks you when you're walking alone saying, do you have an ID? Or do you have an ID? You need some sort of, in fact, there are federal IDs or rather state IDs that you can get that aren't driver's license that you are required to have on you for a lot of things. So that is an argument that is in error to begin with, because you do need an ID as a United States citizen, whether that is a social security number or a physical like state ID or driver's license. And if you can't be ID'd, you can be detained. You can argue that in court after the fact, but you are going to be detained if you do not show ID. You don't need proof that you are a U.S. citizen. You do if the officer is asking you, because then they can use that as a justification to detain you. There are a lot of different, regulations surrounding that. Yeah, you don't need ID on you, but you need to be able to prove that you're a United States citizen. Like, you need to be able to be like, yeah, I'm a United States citizen. So once you are detained and arrested, then you can, in the detainment room, they'll identify you as a United States citizen or not. You can walk around with it without an ID, and if you're doing nothing wrong, the chances of you being, arrested or anything is very low. But if you are doing something that is a citable or something that reaches to the bar of being able to ask a question or detain somebody, they can do that. You can't simply be stopped and arrested because you don't have ID. So again, you can't simply, you're walking down the street, you're not doing anything wrong. Yeah, they can't do that. That's 100% true. And that, to my knowledge, they're not doing that. But if you're walking down the street in all black at night with no lights around and a police officer sees you, with your hood up walking around, okay, now you can start asking, what are you doing here? You were looking like you're, skulking around, stalking a place. Maybe you're going to be, looking to rob somewhere, because you're acting in a way that is not normative behavior. And then when they detain you or they ask you, do you have an ID? And you say, I'm not going to show you my ID. They can detain you for that. And I don't even think that ICE is not even randomly arresting people to begin with. They're targeted arrest warrants. They know who they're going after and they know who's there. And then anybody else who's caught up in whatever raid they're doing, they'll arrest them too, because they're protecting a fugitive. This is pertaining to ICE and undocumented immigration, not traditional policing. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but ICE are federal law enforcement entities, which means that they are effectively, in a way, police officers. So I guess to get, directly back to it is, ICE is not stopping people randomly just to see their IDs. ICE knows who they're there to get. And then when they go in and try to get them, they'll find more people in the area and then they will ID them. And you can argue all you want whether or not they should have to ID somebody living in an area with a felon or with somebody who is being served a warrant. You can argue the ethicality or the morality of that all you want. But as far as I'm aware, it would be standard police procedure to try to identify the people who are there. And if they cannot provide proof of U.S. citizenship, then they are also going to be deported. Because it is illegal to be in this country if you have not immigrated here illegally. So, I mean, like, that's just like my, spitball on that. I think that's more than fair.
Tanks, even. My overall opinion is still basically the same. I'm very critical of the police. I am very pro First Amendment. Protesting is a fundamental American right, and we can't just
peaceably assembling, as yes.
Domestic terrorists.
That's correct. Protesters are not domestic
terrorists.
terrorists.
I promise you will come back to bite you in the ass. So good luck in 2028 when President Newsom knocks you up. Whoa, knocks you up. Whoa, what's going on here?
President Newsom is a very, very bold prediction.
2028 when President Newsom locks you up for protesting against mandatory forced feminization or whatever the f it is Democrats do. What do they do?
That's a bold prediction for the future.
I don't know. I left this joke blank. Something pronouns. Like, God forbid the state ever turns me into Swiss cheese and the president's like, she was a radical leftist lunatic. The people called her Kami Mommy. Can you believe that, folks? Kami Mommy. Sad. And some people were like straight up mocking this woman, celebrating it, and then when people were like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's not okay. If you're mocking or celebrating that person dying, like, anybody who's dying is not, you shouldn't be mocking them. 'Tis all opinion. I need to go to sleep now, so I'll see you next stream. Yeah, okay, I'll see you next stream. I'll probably be doing Trench Tales tonight, and what you could do, I might put it on YouTube as its own video, so just keep an eye out for that one, okay? Because I know that I think that you voted for Trench Tales, and it's a 50-50 split, so I'm going to get to both of them eventually, but I'm going to do Trench Tales tonight. Actually, maybe I could just... I'm going to do it tonight. I'm going to do it tonight so you have something to watch later tomorrow. All right, have a good one.
They were like, well, you got Charlie Kirk, so now we got one of your guys. Is that what we're doing now? We're just going to keep killing each other back
At least
and
I'm pretty
forth?
sure
Is that
you're the
what
one who
this is
voted
now?
for
Like
that,
some kind of
because
sick
I know what
war?
Nova's
Who gets
choices
me in a
are.
national divorce? Hell yeah, 2 Christmases. Like, you agreed with me when I was upset about the reactions people had about Charlie Kirk, and then you're over here like, boo-hoo, she was a stupid libtard. Honestly, some of you just don't have morals. You have, like, temporary weapons you can use.
You voted for OTK? Oh my god, Nova, you baited me. All right, well, we'll see about doing that one tonight then, or we'll do something tonight. You know what? We'll figure it out. See ya. Have a good one.
Like, when you have the chance. You and all the people who mock Charlie Kirk are all going in the pit, and you can come out when you learn how to
That's
be
the third
normal.
time I've
In
been
my
wrong
opinion,
tonight.
A lot of
Blatantly.
focus on illegal immigration should go to the employers employing illegal immigrants for cheaper scab labor. I feel like that's really important, and like, we're not doing that. It's kind of interesting that the government is focused so hard on immigration right now, but like, apparently hasn't made any like real actual legislative change to the laws of immigration. Dragging Jose at a Home Depot might work for now, but they have to be working on something more substantial, right?
You would be wrong.
The
I
company
am.
named
Yep.
after the evil crystal ball in Lord of the Rings, right, is apparently working on a new tool for ICE. And what does it do? Oh, nothing really. Just creates a map of deportation targets, pulls up a dossier on them, and assigns them a confidence score. Because if there's one thing we can trust, it's a private
That's a little
Silicon Valley tech
standard
company's
military
algorithm
procedure, though.
deciding who gets disappeared. Every single surveillance tool starts by simply
Again, they're not
detecting
getting
us. It's
disappeared,
only
they're
gonna
getting
affect the
deported.
baddies. But who are the baddies? Today it's illegal immigrants, tomorrow it's furries, next week it's people who are into feet, and before you know
I can
it,
agree
it's
that this could be a
fans of
slippery slope.
You know, on second thought, I don't buy into the propaganda that simply enforcing
Damn.
border security, something
She
every
got
developed
us.
country has, is akin to Nazi Germany. Sorry, I don't. Build a wall? Hitler. Deport illegal immigrants? Hitler. Just kick out the criminal ones at least? Hitler. Like, there's no other option besides open borders that is acceptable to some people, and I don't get that.
That's
What I
another
do
problem
get,
that a lot of
however,
people have been
is
having,
that
where it's
people
just
don't
like,
wanna
come on,
live
man.
under a Palantir police state where people can't even film ICE agents without getting put on some kind of f***ing list. I feel like there has to be some kind of normal, sane option besides total free-for-all globo homo versus Peter Thiel nightmare tech bro dystopia. Like, How is it not possible to just, like, be normal, be normal, be normal, be normal? But hey, it's cool the DHS created a portal where you can see all the people they have been deporting. One guy was deported back to Yugoslavia.
Aggravated assault with a gun. Robbery. Yeah, I think that's probably pretty good that we deported him.
Yugoslavia doesn't exist anymore.
No, you probably deported him back to where he came from in the old Yugoslavia.
Sent that motherfucker back in time. Listen, what happened to Renee Good
To be
was
fair,
a tragedy. It was terrible.
it was.
But hopefully nothing like this ever happens again.
It was a preventable tragedy, but a tragedy nonetheless.
And another person was shot by ICE in Minneapolis.
According to a preliminary Department of Homeland Security report, 2 Border Patrol agents discharged their weapons.
And again, we live in a future in which we are, I believe, sure that he was armed when he was being detained. Whether or not the gun went off as a misfire might be up for speculation and debate, but he had it on him when he was being detained. The TLDR and lesson that you should be walking away from is when federal agents are detaining you, you peaceably let them detain you and fight it in the courts, and you should not be armed if you are protesting.
Here in graphic cell phone video captured by eyewitnesses. 10 shots fired off in total in just seconds. Preddy pronounced dead on the scene.
To be absolutely clear, stuff is still coming out about this as I am filming.
Yep.
Literally, as I am filming, this happened. You know, there's no body cam footage yet, so I could be totally wrong. Totally possible, totally possible. However, first impressions of watching the video at multiple angles, multiple times. Yeah.
Rarely are first impressions correct, by the way.
I think they just fucking murdered that guy. It looks like they took his gun and then shot him. Like 10 officers come over to him, wrestle him to the ground, the agent disarms him, take his gun, they yell gun, 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 and then they shoot him several times in the back. More information can come out, but the compulsive bootlicking I have been seeing has been fucking insane.
Why does a nurse feel compelled to go confront ICE armed with a 9mm handgun? Only one
And we are again getting more information about this guy, and nurse is a very strong word for him.
Person could have prevented this from happening, and it's Alex Preddy.
Yeah, who goes to a protest and brings a gun? Look, if the government can take a firearm from you and then kill you...
Again, that's not entirely correct. He didn't go to a protest with a gun. He went to protect a building, protect somebody's stuff, somebody's property, in a place that was a riot where they were burning down people's buildings. He was not a protester or a rioter. That is disingenuous, extremely disingenuous, and you know it. You're smarter than that.
Because you had a firearm, then nobody actually has a right to own a firearm. If that is how it works, then there's actually no such thing as the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment does not exist. I feel like some people genuinely just forget that police are just people. ICE officers are just
Yes, they
people.
are.
They're literally just people who work for the government like anyone else. They're DMV employees with guns. They can be stupid. They can be bad. They can
They're more like IRS agents, except for immigration, not taxes.
make mistakes. Like, I don't know what it is about some people. Like, once someone has a badge, it's like that person is just a perfect angel and cannot be criticized at all. You're
True.
telling me all I have to do to get you fucking people to listen to me is to dress like this? All right, fair enough. Stop.
I think there'd be a lot of people who would listen to that. That's the bad thing.
Stop gooning. None of this would have happened if ICE agents were being trained better instead of being rushed through the system with little to no training. And if Minnesota just worked alongside ICE to make sure they would...
Sure, but again, the people who have been caught up in this have had a decade's worth of experience on ICE. I can't fault you for the one that just happened of time of recording, but the guy who was nearly ran over had 8 years of experience on ICE's, payroll. Like, actually an ICE officer. So that's, again, blatantly wrong, factually at least.
And more effective way instead of just egging on a fucking jihad against them. Also, if ICE's goal is to round up pedophiles and fraudsters, I hear there's a pretty big list of files and fraudsters that need to be rounded up. Unfortunately, we'll never fucking get to see it. I'm trying to make this video somewhat funny and entertaining, but I'm not gonna lie,
Sure.
this is really bleak. Is America
It is.
okay? Can we please go one
No.
single day without living through a major historical event, please? And a bunch of new Epstein files just dropped.
Boom.
Great.
I paused it because I thought I was gonna have to say something.
Soon, aren't we? Where was I? This just says Mr. Beast tendies.
What?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is simulating a chicken's body and the cells are just multiplying. Honestly,
Huh?
can't tell the difference. What the heck?
I will not live in a pod. I will not eat the Antichrist lab-grown chicken tendies. Oh, I completely forgot about this. Sorry, I am not on my Vyvanse today, folks. I forgot to take my normal pills. It wasn't long before the race hustlers took advantage of the terrible Renee Good situation
Oh,
in
yeah.
Minneapolis.
I remember
Say Her
that.
Name is a movement started by black women for black women specifically, and it's not
Yeah?
appropriate to use in regards to Renee Good.
She deserves a hashtag and everything. It should not be Say Her Name. Say Her Name is reserved for black women. This is not for any
Yeah?
others. Simple as that.
Say Her Name is specifically reserved for black women.
Say Her Name is for
Okay.
It feels kind of wrong being here in some way. I don't know why.
Um,
why do you think? Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know why. That's called white guilt, honey. That's the white guilt you're feeling. It's amazing. You could literally be killed by the state for the cause. And these fucking people will still disgrace you for the curse of being born Caucasian.
I don't understand why people are like that.
This is very woke 1.0. I thought it was dark woke time.
Nobody forgetting Renee Good. She has achieved the highest honor a white person can achieve. Race traitor.
That's pretty racist of you to say, my friend.
She has achieved the highest honor a white person can achieve.
Oh, wow.
Race traitor.
Wow.
And this type of psychotic rhetoric seems to be
That is
working,
psychotic.
because,
That's a
like,
good
70%
word
of
for
the
it,
videos
is
I see of
psychotic.
People, like, trying to disrupt ICE has been white women. White women literally throwing themselves at armed officers like lemmings off a fucking cliff for street tacos. What the hell is going on with white women? Who will save the white race?
Oh, no.
Ah, yes, Hitler's strongest soldiers.
No.
A Mexican, a Dominican, a black guy, and a looksmaxer.
That looksmaxer is none other than Clavicular. Clavicular is a Gen Z influencer.
Hey, you got a little
live
bit in
streamer
trouble
who got his
lately, I
start
thought,
within
right?
the niche red pill communities, and has recently blown up to mainstream popularity, especially in right-wing circles.
I've
His
never
main
watched
claim to
anything
fame
from
is
him, so I don't know.
Looksmaxing, for those of you who are employed, is...
Looksmaxing is a term for aggressively maximizing one's physical attractiveness through routines like skincare, facial exercises, mewing, fitness, and sometimes extreme cosmetic procedures. Originating in online incel forums, but popularized on TikTok, focusing on
Yeah,
enhancing
I
features
definitely
like
don't-
jawline and bone structure.
I don't think any of that actually works, and I think that's a little odd.
It's interesting to see men adopting the insane beauty rituals that women have been doing for decades. But now that a man is doing it, it's seen as psychopathic or gay. A woman will literally spend
Well, I didn't say
thousands of
that.
dollars
I
on
just said
hair,
odd.
makeup, skincare, peptides, plastic surgery, fillers, Botox, red light therapy, moon water, and we just call her Stacey. But a man does it, and we call him Patrick Bateman. A woman reshapes her entire face with makeup? Normal. A man reshapes his jawline with makeup? Gay. A woman wears a push-up bra to make her tits look bigger? Empowering. A man shoves socks in his shoes to make himself taller? A liar. A woman
I
gets
didn't
lip
even
filler?
know that was a
Typical.
thing.
A man smashes his face with a hammer to make his jaw swell up? Okay, yeah,
That's a little, yeah,
One
that's,
of the looksmaxing tips some young men are apparently doing is called
no,
bone
don't do that.
smashing.
No,
They take
don't
a
do
hard
that.
Object, usually a hammer,
Oh,
smash
God,
the bones
why
in
would
their
you
face
do
to
that?
make their face temporarily swell up and allegedly give them that Chad jaw.
No.
Honestly, don't knock it till you try it. Here we go. Perfect. So that concludes this episode
God.
of the Hell World Report. If you liked it, please subscribe and consider donating to my Patreon, link down below. It helps the channel and I appreciate it so much. If you don't want to do that, you can also put a little tip down in the tip jar somewhere.
Well, if I
here
could, I
somewhere.
would, but I
feel like
can't.
A barista. Yeah, it's just gonna ask you
Unfortunately.
something on the screen down there. If you have some stories you want me to cover in the next Hell World report, be sure to send them to me on Twitter at Shoe0nHead. I will give you a little shout out if I wind up using the story in the next episode. Okay, and I will see you guys with a new fun slop video. I keep promising a slop video.
Give me slop!
Terrible things keep happening.
Give me slop!
Next video is a slop video. I promise.
Stop yapping, give me slop! Okay. Well, that was fun. We kind of got a little, held up there, but I think that was a pretty good conversation, quite honestly, all things considered.